on these stupid streams. I'm so sorry. I need to get a Wi-Fi receiver up here. And what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about. Here, let's see if we can do these filters here. I think. No. See, all those look terrible. The normal one's fine. It's still a little bit bright, but that's okay. Sorry for those of you just joining. Sorry, like the internet and the Wi-Fi, it's just so frustrating sometimes. I'm like, I have a direct line of sight to Wi-Fi, so what's going on here? I need to get a hard line lot for the phone. Anyway, as I was saying about Nirvana, In Bloom, like just such a great. Sorry, Mitch. Yeah, like my internet. Today is not a professional day. I'm sorry. I don't have Tom. I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't have a lot going on, but I do have Friday, and we got to talk about guitar. So the other, I don't know if you guys saw this video yet, but Harley Benton. I've never played their guitars before, but they're coming out with relict guitars and nitrocellulose, spray, which is crazy to me. Steve, hey, it's just me today. No, Tom. So if you want to leave, I understand. But Harley Benton, and they're saying it's still going to be like in their normal price strata. So what is that, like under $400? Under 400. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. How do I ban this guy, Jeremiah? I need to buy you a bike for 3,000 rupees? Cannot do that for you, man, but the spamming is not helpful. Yeah, we're gonna put you in, let's just put you in timeout. Okay. Anyway, so who's played Harley Benton guitars? Because they look good. They have an Explorer model, and I love Explorers. I think Explorers and Flying V's look so cool. They have an Explorer, like Harley Benton Explorer kind of thing, and it's what, like $400? And I'm always like, man, should I? Should I sing? I can't sing right now. I actually blew out my voice from coughing. I was at a show last week and I sang. And the stage sound, so I played a show in Jersey last week. The stage sound was like 100 dBs. It was like standing in front of a jet. And this guy was running his mouth about how he's, run sound for decades and this and that, like typical sound guy crap. And he gives me the loudest stage I've ever been on. I'm like, what is the point? Why? We were playing, I had my Fender Twin on 1, not even 1. I mean, it was really quiet. And so I blew out my voice trying to sing over everything. It was really disappointing. So, but it's just like, listen, if he said, hey, I'm not really good at sound, or rather, we'll see, it's a loud room, whatever. But he was going on and on how it's going to be great and this and that. It's just so frustrating when that happens. I'm like, I don't mind that you're not good, but don't try to like big time me while we're setting up. Don't try to like show me that like I need to be deferential to you. I'm like, we're in this together. Like you're doing my sound and I'm playing, so I need you, but you also need me because we're bringing the butts to the seats. So we got to work together. We're on the same team. Don't try to big time me. Anyway, really frustrating. Apparently, Firefly are made in the same factory as Harley. Interesting. Horse nipples. Okay, normal white guy. Anyway, so I blew out my voice. Really frustrating, but it's all good. So, as long as we're here, let me show you a quick turnaround that I got from Joey Landreth's video. He did this video where he covered Hallelujah, I Love Her So by Ray Charles. And he did it in open tuning. in like open C. So it doesn't. I was like, okay, I can't figure that out. But I figured out how he walked down. So let's say you're walking down for the turnaround, right? So you go up to the third position, right? We're in the key of G, and now we're in the third position. So it's just an inverted G, right? With the 3 on the bottom, 3, 1, and the 5 on top. You just slide, still keeping your finger on the G here. You slide everything down 1 fret, right? And the way it would work is something like that. I have too much reverb on. Is there more reverb? What's going on here? I feel like, is there a plate reverb on this? There is. That's what I was like, oh my God, it's so much reverb. There we go. There we go. Anyway, so that's where we're going. Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I know of him. He's a fantastic guitarist. I think he lives here, actually. I think he lives right near my brother, down in Brentwood. Killer guitarist. I know he's got that really powerful Strat sound, which I love. And I think it's funny too, because like when I first moved here, I got like hypnotized by the Telecaster in a good way. And I like didn't pick up this guitar for a long time. And someone brought it up like, hey, how come you're not playing that Legacy? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, the neck is really tiny. Look at how thin that thing is, like way too tiny. But it also has forced me to be a lot more. This is a guitar I played for like probably 8 years, just this guitar, all the dings and scratches on it. But it's forced me to become a lot more careful with my playing, and not, because the harder you press, like your fingers just go, slip right off, slip on the bottom. And so when I've been learning this Stevie Ray Vaughan thing, right? Oh man, it's so many cool sounds on that song. Anyway, it's been really helpful to learn on a smaller thing. I do miss the tones of the Tele, but there are a lot of really cool things you can do on a Strat. It's just such a different tonal profile. And this is where I'll take issue again with the guitar community. I feel like there's two guitar communities. There's a guitar community that's like, yes, if you hear it, that makes it real. And then there's the guitar community that's like only measured things, like the rationalist side of the guitar community, which I like. There's so few things that I agree with them on. I'm like, if someone enjoys it and someone likes it and someone hears it a certain way, that means it's true. I mean, like that to me is what art is, right? If you hear it, that means it's true. If you see something a certain way, that means, okay, like your reality is that. And that's okay. Like, I'm not gonna discount someone. When someone says like, hey, I like the sounds of P90s better than a Tele, I'm like a Tele pickup. I'll be like, okay. I'm not gonna say he's wrong. I'm like, cool. Like how could I even say he's wrong? And vice versa. If I say I prefer a Tele to a Strat, like I'm not wrong. It's just like that's a preference, and that's like a cool thing about guitar. Anyway, the whole point is like there are really interesting sounds. Like I almost never used a middle pickup until I played a Tele more, because I feel like there wasn't a lot. If you just roll the tone like the 4. Can it play Stevie Ray? Yeah, Now, I don't play a lot of blues. So like for me, P. Diddy, yeah, he's going away. Good riddance, man. Lock him up and throw away the key. Right? But I don't play a lot of blues. So like whenever I have to I go to like a blues jam, I'm always like, oh my God, what do I play? And I realized like here's a quick tip. So I'm going to be doing a video about how to survive your first jam session in Nashville, but also just how to survive your first jam session, or how to survive any jam session. If you go down to the jam, don't try to outplay everyone, because there's always going to be 2 or 3 guys there that are like way better. So don't try to outplay them. Try to play something melodic and memorable. That has like saved me so many times. Every time I'm like, I'm falling, I'm floundering, and you're looking around like, what am I playing? And then it's like, hold on a second, just play the. Just something like that. Just, and it's usually like a slow blues, and like just leave your room to grow. And a lot of times you'll think, well, if I'm going up the fret and I'm going up the neck, I gotta play fast. Go even slower, right? Go even slower, just like. And just slow it down. Make the band slow down for you, because they're there to jam. And so they'd probably love, rhythm section would probably love to like take it easy for like a verse, right? And then do some, double stops. Something like that. And anyway, I'll do a whole video on that, but like just something to keep in mind, because it saved me so many times. I'm like, I mean, you know the feeling, right? You're playing guitar, you're like really going for it. And then like you like miss a step as you're soloing, you're like, uh-oh. And you miss another one, like another measure later, and all of a sudden you're falling down the stairs. Like that's what it feels like sometimes when I'm like, I can't catch myself. Like you're carrying like a cake, like it's an old Three Stooges video, or like an old Laurel and Hardy video, and you're carrying a cake down a flight of stairs. And you're like, I'm ruining everything. Just take it slow, take it easy. And easiest way to do that is to start slow. You like start and then end it slower than you started. Like make it just like a sludge, because it'll force everyone to listen. It'll force the drummer. I mean, hopefully the drummer's listening to you, right? I mean, I always look at the drummer first. That's like a key to me. Like you start that solo, look right at the drummer, but not in like an angry way, right? You look at them, you give them the. And just keep looking at him until they realize, oh, he's trying to calm me down. And then he'll slow and slow and slow. So they're doing construction right outside. It's going to be also a little loud. Oh, so wait a second. Slow walk it, right, Fred? That's the way to do it. A video on my practice routine, Mitch. What's crazy is that my practice happens when I record videos. I don't have a standard one, but I will say this. The thing that advances me so quickly are True Fire videos. Like forcing myself to go through a True Fire lesson from, Tim Lurch, like great jazz guitarist, or, any Johnny Highland stuff, like great country guitarist, obviously. And it just force yourself to do every single lesson until like the lesson is completely ingrained in you. I did like 3 True Fire courses in Chicago before I moved to Nashville on like country stuff. And it just completely, it took me probably 3 weeks to really just like devote myself. And it was like all day long, every day. Because I've never taken lessons. So like for me, like, okay, well, what do I want to learn? What do I want to sound like? You pick that artist, you go into it, and then all of a sudden you're playing those licks, you're playing those riffs. Let's see, have you tried the American-made Silver Sky? I have tried the American-made Silver Sky. Sorry, that's from a while ago. And it was great. And like, this Silver Sky SE sounds like the American Silver Sky, but the American Silver Sky feels so much better. It just is it's worth that price jump. You know, sometimes you're like, this doesn't feel $1,000 better. Like that feels, what is it, $2,000 more, right? Almost. That feels $2,000 better. Like that's how good it is. Especially these new ones. These new ones feel different. Like the new, like tungsten blue, these really Dodgem blue or whatever the colors are. They feel really good. It is a Japanese lawsuit guitar. Oh, what the Gibson ones? Anyway, so right, yeah, well, Steve, you're right. Like when you get up past your Freebird, I can't play Joe Bonamassa. Actually, I'm not familiar with his songs. But I know that guy can shred his face off, and he can play like any blues guy too. He like knows his like encyclopedic knowledge of everything is so crazy for blues. Like he knows the exact speakers that a guy used on a certain concert. He knows the string gauge. He knows everything, and he can like recite it note for note. That to me is like an unbelievable, like near like Asperger's syndrome of like where he's able to just like completely know like what that sound was. He's got great tips on tone too. Like, and I'm not a Gibson guy. I want to be a Gibson guy. I think I've never owned one, but I'd love to be a Gibson guy one day because like the tones that he can get out of it sound so cool. I'm a very good player based on my video of Good, Bad, and Fuzzy. Oh, thank you. That was a fun. Hello, Russia. Hope you guys are safe over there too. I'm sure you're far away from what's going on there. But Kona, thank you for stopping by. And Doug Z, Douge Z, thank you. It's fun to play, man. That was a fun video to make. I got some other ideas for Sweetwater. We'll see if they sponsor them. Can I play Freebird? No, but I was listening to the concert, what was it, 1971, where they're playing in Huntington Beach. And like there's all these girls on bikinis on like their boyfriend's shoulders. And it's like it's such a cool vibe. And I can't remember who's the lead guitarist? Or one of the lead guitarists in Leonard? Dickie Betts? Am I right? I could be wrong. Maybe that's Allman Brothers. Sorry, I don't know the names of these guys. Anyway, he's playing that Explorer like a maniac. What is it? It's like right. Those are the chords for Freebird for the solo. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I don't remember how's the solo go. It's like I mean, it's like such a cool solo. I mean, it's repetitive, but it's just like so frenetic and like just like in your face. I love it. And the way you better fly, do free bird, yeah. Oh, that's a. I mean, it just like goes on like that for so long, and but it's like not boring. You're just like yes, like in my mind, it's just like you're like it's like just like rock and roll heaven. It's like that whole leading up to that solo, and then down past like the hits. Like that to me is like such a great energy of that song, man. Excuse me. Play Pink Panther blues style. Oh, I'm gonna. So this is like a request live now. Play. What is it? Pink Panther. Okay. What is it? Oh. right? Is that? Right? I mean, that's right. I didn't realize. What is it? That is. That's what it is. So my aunt was in the Pink Panther movie with Steve Martin, the remake. She's an actress in New York, and she was in the hamburger. She's the dictation coach. Say hamburger, and he's like hamburger. That's a great scene. What is it? Relentless pentatonic licks, right? Yeah, just like the stamina is insane, and on top of the stamina, it's just like the ferocity that they're playing it. It's just like they're playing that guitar like God, get that lick. It's just like such. It's like such athletic and like aggressive playing, but it's not metal, which is why I mean obviously I was like before metal pretty much, but it's like this like, and it's not hard rock either. It's just this such aggressive rock and roll, and I love it. It just is, I really think that's cool. Do I like Epiphone? Yeah, Epiphone is cool now. Like they're inspired by Gibson. Custom guitars are insane. The prices are insane, and they look and sound like pretty much the real thing there. And this is one of the benefits of what happened during COVID. All the overseas companies, and a lot of these companies like quietly shipped a lot of their manufacturing to Indonesia. They became so good at making guitars that it's completely like not distorted the market, but it makes everyone have to rethink. Like if you're head of like Fender distribution, right? Like what do you do with your Mexican factory? Like you got Squires now that are competing. Like they could compete. They're telling them, hey, don't make them as good as this because you're going to cannibalize our mid-market. But like, that puts you in a tricky position. You're like, it costs X amount to keep this factory open, and our margin for the Player series is they're probably making 20%, maybe 25% profit on that. But I bet you their profit on Squire is probably close to 40%. So it's like, why are we keeping the Player series open? It's like we could close Player series and have 2 levels made in Indonesia, like that are going to exceed. Now, and if there's tariffs, obviously that's going to change. So you'll see a lot more U.S. based stuff. Epiphone is a Gibson for junk. The new ones, man. Kona, try the new ones, man. Try the new inspired by Gibson. And especially the inspired by Gibson custom shop. They're so good. What's the other question I had? Wind of Change, Scorpions. So Scorpions is another band like I didn't listen to that much growing up. I like a very bizarre like whatever like CD like my friend would lend to me, or whatever tape I found in my dad's cabinet. Like that's what I would just listen to, and I would just listen to it nonstop. And that's how I'm able to like remember songs upon like first listen. I can do it. And I think it's because I would only listen to the same stuff over and over. I mean, I love Rock You Like a Hurricane, but I think that's like one of the only songs I know by Scorpions. So I don't have a good like mental discography. Good morning from Missouri. Welcome, welcome. Mrs. Redneck Ranger, thank you for coming by. Hey, Raphael, what's going on? So we're talking about Epiphone guitars. We're talking about Lynyrd Skynyrd, getting ready for the weekend. So there's a couple things that I'm going to try to ask Sweetwater. So this is how dumb I am. I gave American Telecaster 52 pickups away. And I don't know who I gave them to. I just like I remember I gave the box to someone, and they must have owed me like an insane favor for me to just give them away. Like, cause they're gone. And I texted every one of my guitarist friends. Did I give and not that I want them back. I'm not gonna say like, hey, give them back. I just want to know, like, who did I give this to? Because they must owe me big time. Like, they must have been for something. You don't just give away a set of pickups and a bridge. And I don't know who it is. So I was gonna change the pickups on my Nashville, the Nashville Stratocaster. Um, and now I can't. So I'm gonna ask Sweetwater if they want to work with like Seymour Duncan to give me some better pickups. From the UK, welcome. Welcome. Sorry, it might be a little loud. They're doing construction on the wall outside the studio. Squirrels chewed through my wall. Those jerks. Anyway, so we'll see. And I'm looking at those 52 Antiquity pickups. And these are Lawlers in here, which I love. But I'm sure, like, the difference between Lawler and Seymour Duncan, is it that big? Like, I have no idea. Like, Seymour Duncan's been doing it for a longer time. So, like, I'm assuming that their custom shop ones are really good. Excuse me. Sorry. And getting over cold. So this is the other thing. So I'm flying back from this show last week. And I'm in this plane, and every single person is coughing up a lung. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to get sick. That's what's going to happen. I'm like, no one's covering their mouth. No one's, like, doing this. No, everyone is just like, like they're just like, we're all in this together. I'm like, I don't know anyone's name here. You should not be coughing into the open. Everyone, cough into your elbow, please. No one wanted to. And the guy, so three rows or 3 seats to a row, right? Flying United. I sit down, I'm window. I was thrilled about window. Guy sits next to me. And then there's an empty seat on the aisle. And he's staying in his seat. I'm like, okay, he'll probably stay in his seat for takeoff and then he'll move over. Doesn't move. Stays. We have an empty seat right there. And he stays sitting next to me. I'm like, what? Now, luckily, he wasn't that big of a guy. And I'm not like I'm not a wide guy. So it was not uncomfortable. But if you have that space afforded to you, wouldn't the like obvious thing to be like, I should move over. We can have this communal space between us now, because now we can both use this we can both lean both ways, right? We can both, spread our wings. We don't have to worry about, I don't have to worry about this guy looking at my phone while I'm texting. And he turned out to be a nice guy. He was actually visiting. I got his whole life story. So when I get really annoyed that if I get really annoyed with someone, the way I flip it in my head, it's like interview them like they're on 60 Minutes. So I asked this guy every question in the world to get to know him. And he's a nice guy. He's visiting his sister. He hadn't seen her in 20 years, estranged for 20 years. I was like, dang, he's a mechanic. He loves working on trucks. And he lives in North Carolina, originally from upstate New York. I mean, like, again, I got this guy's life story. And I found that when you get to know someone really well, it's really hard to be annoyed with them. So I wasn't annoyed by the end of the flight. But, and I didn't feel comfortable enough to ask him, like, hey, like, is there a reason you didn't move over there? Oh, well. Anyway. So where are we going here? Squirrels chewed through my walls, right? I know, that sounds like a metal song, right? Everyone was wearing masks and not allowed to breathe. I know, gosh, I remember that. Or I remember it was like, wear your mask if you're in a restaurant. Wear your mask as you're walking, but when you sit down, you can take off your mask. I'm like, guys, we're just fucking making this up right now. In the cinema, sat down with my partner, 40 other free seats, and someone sits right next to you. I know, so I'm like, what's going on here? I feel like there was a huge, like, during COVID, I feel like all the semblance of, like, understood social graces got just, like, tossed out the window. I'm like, do we just not acknowledge that, like, there's a safety, a buffer zone? I mean, that was, like, enforced even at one point. I don't know. There's a lot of things, yeah, that it's just like, I guess this is so the other thing my wife told me is that if you're getting really annoyed, you can make it a sitcom in your head. Pretend there's like a 3-camera crew that's like shooting you, and you're like, oh, I'm in a sitcom series. That's why this is so funny. And then you'll laugh at it instead of being annoyed at like people's like absolute obliviousness. Mod scientist, welcome, welcome. It's a free-for-all now. It does feel like a free-for-all. Like, there's no social cohesion. That's not true. Not no. But it feels like there's a lot less social cohesion than there used to be. Although, that maybe that's just like as you grow up, it feels that way. I don't know. It's super nature to the rescue, absolutely. So I've never liked bridge pickups on a Strat, right? And then technically this is a GNL, but same thing, right? And I realized if you roll back the tone almost all the way, so that's at 5. That's a good sound. I like that. Like, I feel like that's all right. Like, I can work with that for sure. A little too much room for it. And it kind of sounds like, it's weird because you think like bridge pickup, single coil, is it going to sound like a Tele? Like, not at all. It sounds more like a P90 when you do that. Right? Very usable, right? And I didn't realize that. I mean, my whole Strat life, I was like neck pickup guy and maybe like 4th position. Anyway, I'm thrilled that I'm like finding the nuances of a Strat. There's a lot of beautiful noises in a Strat, but it's so much less in your face than a Tele. A Tele is really in your face. Even on a neck pickup, it's just like, it's a very like bold sound. There's so much more lower mids. And especially on the bridge. I mean, the bridge is like a rock machine. But on a Strat, it's just like, it's a very different sound. Or rather, when I play it, I always get it to these like more subtler sounds that I really... Like, it just, you get these really kind of, it's not biting, it's not like pushy, it's just like a very nice, smooth sound. I really love a Strat for rhythm, because one of the great things about the Strat, like when you're doing a rhythm, like when you get that like rhythm sound, it's really fun on a Strat. And I'm sometimes not able to get that kind of delicate nature on a humbucker. And sometimes I can't get it on my Tele. I'm like, gosh, I just need like... It just feels right on the Strat to me, like when you're doing that kind of stuff. But then I wish I could just have 2 guitars. Like I throw that onto the ground and pick up my Tele for a lead, throw that back down, pick up the Strat for the rhythm. Which is why I want to get this Nashville Stratocaster fixed up with proper pickups. It is meaty, right? I do play with them out of phase, you know. But I've found that I like the out of phase, but sometimes it's hard for me. I feel like it doesn't cut through as much if I'm playing live. Obviously, you can make it cut through. You can carve it out when you're recording. But sometimes I feel like I just like don't have that aggression. Again, like it always lends it to such like a more subtle approach for my Strat. And then but then I'll hear Stevie Ray Vaughan like shredding it when he's doing the does that shredding, and it sounds so cool. I'm like, how does he do it? Why is he doing it? But it's just like, that's him. That's in his hand. Yeah, so like that's the one thing that's wrong. It's like sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing on a GNL is that this is treble and this is bass, and it's like a treble cut, bass cut, instead of um, like a traditional like neck and middle and then bridge. So that's one thing where I'm like, it can kind of make things tricky if the pickups aren't balanced very well, right? Because if the pickups are all like the same kind of like flavor, then it all works fine. But like if you have like a humbucker and a bridge, now you have like wildly different outputs and wildly different like EQ coming through on each pickup, and so like having a master tone across all three really can present some problems. Brazil, welcome, welcome. How do you say welcome in Brazilian or in Portuguese? Is it bienvenue? No. Bienveni? Bienvenidos? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Maria, welcome though. So, what's on the board, Mod? I'll tell you. So right now, I got an OCD going into my Quilter Super Block, and then I have a Tweed Deluxe IR or speaker sim in the Ox Stomp, and then I have a little bit of room reverb on. And if I take off the room, so it sounds pretty bare without that room, you know? Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. Ma, that's very kind of you. I mean, an OCD, man, it's like it sounds just. I know a lot of guys like to crank an OCD, but like I feel like it really works well as a tone shaper, and you have the gain low, like at like 10 o'clock, and then I love the tone on it. Sorry, it's a little bit loud, but I love the tone knob on an OCD. Like the tone knob is really powerful, so using that as like a tone shaper, I feel like is really a cool pedal. If you need just like a really minimalist setup, like just the OCD, and then a reverb or a tremolo pedal, and then your amp, like you can get a lot out of those three things. Lowering the gain, yeah, you gotta see, like I play with too much gain. Even now, it's probably too much gain. I should probably pull it down too. New Jersey, I was just there. I was in Ridiculous Wonk. So I was in. I'm growing a mustache only for the next week, but I should have done it for November. But I have to shoot a video. I have to finish this quilter video, and I already shot half of it, and I don't have a mustache in half of it, so I have to get rid of it, which is really disappointing. Or I could do the Henry Cavill and like do it in post, right? Yeah, it's still pretty early right now, unfortunately. But I wanted to do like the French pilot, like 1920s French pilot kind of look. Ridiculous Wonk. I was just in Maplewood, South Orange, Jersey, playing a show with my aunts and uncles. It was so fun. Love it in Jersey. Quilter and IR. Yeah, I mean, the Quilter Super Block, man, it's really sounds good. I mean, even the built-in. So this is. That's just the Quilter and the IR, right? Or the speaker sim. And now, this is the built-in speaker sim on it. A little bright, so let's pull back the treble. Like that's just the super block headphone out. It's insane. I'm like, I don't know why more people don't play it, because they're like, it's really a great sounding pedal, man. How's the Quilter stuff compared to Boss amps? So I'm gonna do. You got a next tone special? Oh man, that would be. Yeah, the tones are there in a solid state. Like obviously they're not replacing a tube amp. You know what I mean? Like a tube amp is a tube amp. So, but a solid state amp there's a lot of practicality that it can bring into your life when like the tube amp isn't what you want to do. Obviously, like I just have a little. I mean, this little thing. It's the size. I can't pull it out, and I can't move this whole like rig. Anyway, it's like this big. That's the amp, and it can power. It's 25 watts, so you can power a decent sized speaker with it, and it'll all be in the video next month. But there's so much just like flexibility you can have with it. But like, is it like the perfect modeled, blackface style amps? It's not perfect, but it's like, how close does it need to be for a lot of stuff? So exactly what you thought of, Tyson, for the old-fashioned stash. That's exactly what I was going for. Yes, good. So ridiculous wonk. How does the Quilter stuff compare to Boss amp next tone special? So the next tone, I haven't played the next tone special, but I do have a Yamaha, or not, no, I'm sorry, a Boss Katana, and the Katana. That's my windows rattling. The Boss Katana, it's just like it's a different style of sound. I will say, like, there's so many more features on a Boss Katana because it's digital, and the Quilter is all analog, right? It's like if you added a power amp to an Origin Effects pedal, right? It's like it's all analog circuitry. So that limits it, but it also makes it simpler in some ways. So if you're looking for, I don't think you're gonna find a big sound delta between the two. I think they both sound really similar. Like they're getting really close to what the real thing sounds like, in my opinion. But I think a lot of it also comes down to the speaker choice. I think speaker choice is probably the most important thing for any amp or speaker. So, and then your right hand, because here's the other thing I'll say about Sean. What's up? What's going on, man? Your right hand is so important in your sound. Like when I played the show last week, one of the guitarists had a Fender Blues DeVille, right? Like the 4x10, the old DeVille that they don't make anymore. And the thing was loud. It was like, and he had it not even at one, like half. And it was blowing everything off the stage. And a lot of it was due to his right hand. He had a really heavy right hand. And that's just sometimes, just how your hand works. But I've played a Blues DeVille, and it can sound really sweet and soft, like it sounds like a Princeton, but you gotta play. It's all on how you hit the strings, the angle of how your pick is coming down, right? If it's coming down like that, if it's coming down like that against the strings, or if it's coming down and you're letting the strings push your pick back. I mean, this is like how, I'll play it flat right now. Listen to this. And now I'll play angled. Right, much less percussive. And now I'll play it letting the strings push the pick a little bit. It's all pretty much the same volume, but like that intensity, that percussiveness. That's like that second way where it's coming down like this. That's adding way too much percussion, right? Way too much, like, I don't know what it's called, like string pop, but where the string like flops out and then flops back down on top of the pickup. Like that's not what you want most of the time, unless you're doing like, indie rock kind of stuff, where it's like they're going like, like what is that band, Modest Mouse, like stuff like that, where they want that aggressive like punk kind of sound. But when you go to metal, you're not doing that because that's not quick and it's not pretty sounding. For metal, you still want that. You still want that nice even sound across all the strings. So like a lot of times when people play solid state and they're like, oh, it doesn't sound good. I'm like, it's a lot of it, I think it's because it's the right hand. Like you're playing it too hard. A solid state is much different the way it accepts signal input, right? Because there's not these tubes to soften and cushion every signal input that goes in. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm saying? Like it's way different in the way it will amplify signal. And so it'll amplify any imperfections you have in your hand. A solid state is much less forgiving. And that's typically why it sounds bad the first way. And the second way it sounds bad is because it's probably a bad speaker. Like if the speaker is not any good. So I'll plug this into my PRS HDRX, the 1x12 from PRS, which is sorry, do you hear this? It's a Celestion Type V, so it's a nice even sound. I got guys doing construction outside the window, so we'll do this. We'll do this 5 more minutes. Anything you guys want to particularly know about? Next 3 videos, I'm gonna be doing a video on playing slow. That's next week, like really slow on a waltz. And I think it's like playing in time slow. If you can nail that, that's it, man. Like you're the guy. Next one is how to mic an amp. Just using an SM57 or an SM7B. Both of them can sound great. It's just like, how do you mic it and then how do you EQ it in post? I'm sorry, guys. Still recovering. And then a video after that, I have a secret pedal that I am launching. That sounds so good. Oh my gosh. Oh, the hair. Oh, and there's a hair in my coffee. Like, what are the odds here? What's going on? Oh. None of you guys watching at home like, this guy Alex is a real moron. No, stay on the inspiring. That happens to me too. So I'm watching. So there's that video. Brett Papa just posted posted Jack Roosh, the concert he did at the Underdog, and I was there. I was shooting at that concert, so I was 2 of the cameras, and Brett was one of them on the ground. And the solo he plays during Ray Charles's Hard Times, I'm going to transcribe it. I'm going to do a whole video on it because it's so good. And he's playing this beautiful, Collins, like a Collins 335 style guitar. And the same thing to me is like in Lowell, it made me want to play and it made me want to quit. And I'm trying to transcribe it, listen to it, and transcribe, play the next part. And it's like, this guy's on another planet in terms of his tone. So Jack Roosh, if you guys don't know, plays much slower than like a lot of these other guys. And he's much more intentional about his voicing. And he played on like the neck pickup almost the entire solo. It was just this beautiful, clean, and like really great mid punch. And he was playing through a vintage Pro Reverb. It was loud. I remember being like, oh my God. Like, and I had earplugs in and I was still like, man, this is really loud. But he was just punching it. And it just this beautiful solo, no miss. I mean, you'll hear me do like a miss pick. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're like, where you go and you like miss it, or like you halfway hit it. He doesn't do that. He doesn't have miss picks. He doesn't miss the notes. And that's the difference between where I'm at and a real pro. Like a pro in Nashville is that. They don't miss. And if they do miss, you won't tell. I miss, and you can tell. So that's where I'm at. So I know how you feel. It's like, I want to play and I want to quit. I know, it's like I feel like someone scripted this live series, Steve. We're doing it live. I'll do it. What is he saying? Play us off. What does that mean? Play us off. Um, what is it? It's like effing thing sucks. Never work. No, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll write it and we'll do it live. I mean, like such a pro too. Like he's screaming right to his presenting face. And here's a cut off of Sting's next new album. Holds for commercial break. And then the wide shot, him ripping off his lav mic, throwing down his pen. I love, like, Bill O'Reilly. I'm not familiar with what he even thinks about anything. With some of the clips, I'm like, man, that guy's really upset. But I love his professionalism in that clip. Like, to me, like not the professionalism to his coworkers, but the professionalism to like the commitment to the live feed is so funny to me. Where he's like, at a 10, he's swearing at his coworkers, and then locks in, gets it, like nails it live in one take, and obviously it's live, and then goes back to berating his coworkers. It's so funny. And I was like, wow, okay, if this guy can do it, if this guy's facing a Armageddon, production Armageddon, I should be able to lock in for a show, for a live stream. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for stopping by to Tone Town. I hope you learned a little. I hope you laughed a little. And I hope you cried a little. We'll see you guys next week. A lot of fun videos coming out. I hate to plug, but if you guys want to share that MXR video to just one person, that would mean a lot, because I worked really hard on it, and I'm really proud of that video. I think, and obviously, like, these weird videos that I make, they're not accepted by the guitar community at large because they're so weird. And I get it. And it like draws, if you come in on like that episode, like, wait, who's this pedal? What's this bear? What's going on here? Like there's a lot of like lore that can like leave a new viewer behind. So if you guys feel brave at all, or particularly generous, you just share that video somewhere, anywhere. Just like text it to a friend that you think would appreciate it, or text it to anyone that would appreciate it, not someone that would hate it, obviously. So that would mean a lot to me. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much for stopping by again, and I'll see you on the internet. So long. How do I do